We're talking about Wild Blue Yonder. Finally, we're talking about Wild Blue Yonder. Deep dive review. So, fine. I think I'm going to walk you through this in several ways, right? Again, as a Doctor Who fan, right? And I'm one of the Doctor Who fans that wants consistency throughout Doctor Who. This doesn't have it, right? This does not have consistency throughout the rest of Doctor Who. It's connected to the Timeless Child. And also, we've got this other version of Davros in this universe. That doesn't make any sense. So I think they're laying the groundwork for some story reason why continuity has been blown up. So we start over here. This is not. We start over here. It's England is 1666. I thought I looked up on Wikipedia. They're saying 6065, right? And we have the worst piece of casting ever, right? I mean, it's not as bad as Jodie, but up there as being very, very bad, right? Not a good piece of casting at all. We have the bloke from It's a Sin playing Isaac Newton, right? And he plays him ridiculously. It's not even good casting, right? It works in no way, shape, or form, right? So he's playing Isaac Newton as a doofus hipster, essentially, like with the wandering around all airy-fairy with his hair in clouds. Now, I don't think Isaac Newton was like that, right? He seems a very serious dude to me. So none of this works at all, right? This is just agendifying out of fucking control. Agendifying out of control. Ridiculously, right? Absolutely ridiculously. Where am I up to? We're not up to that bit yet. We're not up to that bit there. We'll go to there next. Right. Who posts this? Yeah, this is funny. 1 second, share screen. I gotta go over here. Doink. Yeah, so this is funny. Posted by Mega Geek. This is what they did, right? This is the difference between. What's the difference between then and now? Is one correct and the other one wrong? Yeah. Do you remember the absolute hissy fit meltdown? Exactly the same people are going, "Squee, it's the bestest thing ever!" Right? Like, what's the difference? Honestly, what's it? So I commented, there should be a trigger warning, a content warning on this episode for the disgusting cultural appropriation, right? I mean, like it's absolutely ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, the biggest crime is it doesn't even fucking work, right? It doesn't even work. But can I open this PDF? I wonder through Chrome. Let's have a look. See if it'll open on Chrome. That'd be. Let's have a look. Ah! That's not as good, though. Zoom in a bit. Fine. So again, he's this lovable doofus hipster sitting on a tree, and it's just reasonably ridiculous, right? It's really genuinely ridiculous. And Apple's in it and he goes, "Oh." Again, he in no way, shape, or form sells himself to me as Isaac Newton. He seems to be playing himself and saying Isaac Newton's me now, right? So this is a big time fail. I will call this big time fail, right? There's nothing about this works. Again, looking at it as a normie, I'm like, what the fuck? Looking at it as somebody who can disconnect Doctor Who from whatever the headcanon is, and just look at it as fanfic. They're going, what the fuck, right? Anybody, and the woke fucks are going, yay! It's the bestest thing fucking ever, right? It's shit, right? It is absolute shit, and it brought the shitheads out in force, right? So Lance Parkin, who I always rated as a very good writer, right? Screen, share screen. Posted on Facebook this ridiculous diatribe, right? Isaac Newton wasn't blah. Let's just head this one off of the past. Was Kublai Khan a Czech Austrian? Ahem. Serial D, Marco Polo. You've never seen it, but you firmly hold the opinion that it's classic Doctor Who. Kublai Khan. I mean, the smugness in his idiot voice. Kublai Khan was played by a Czech Austrian actor called Martin Miller. Yeah, which you probably would demand a content warning for. But it was commonplace in cast. Yeah, it's 2023. Watch some television, see what's commonplace now. That's why nobody's watching television. You fucking cockwomble. Thankfully, John the White was here to respond. And was Kublai Khan depicted as an Austrian white guy, Lance? Disingenuous argument with Russell T. Davis trying to grab some headlines, race baiting himself, some outrage to get people talking about the show. I don't think that was the case, right? I don't think that's the case. Low tactics. I hope we could have left the cheap race baiting behind with Chibnall. I think it's more Andy Pryor, quite frankly. And seems to be endemic amongst Doctor Who creative. It's the way of using or abusing race in the by middle-aged white guys trying to write black to stay relevant rather than practice what they preach and give up their privileged position to give a job to Mega Geek directing episode. Let him be the showrunner. If you're concerned about elevating non-white voices. Oh, what do you mean when you have to give up? Like, no, you're not so into that, right? You're not so into that. So they take up those. They claim raising up behind them while taking glory, of course. Oh, so much glory, and there is so much smug glory they take. Thinks they are so much better now. 96.3 RA. One day you guys might grow up. Well, I think you're optimistic there, John. I think you're optimistic. I don't think they will. Right, bottom line, I don't think they will grow up one day. I think they're destined to be dicks forever, right? That's just one man's opinion. So, again, I was talking about Doctor Who today, going over this with somebody who liked it. We'll go over the idea like you can't really connect this to the rest of Doctor Who, and depends how you feel about that, right? Again, this opening scene is just smack you in the face. So a lot of people are saying that this was done deliberately just to annoy people, along with the Flux stuff, along with the Timeless Child stuff. I think more so over there, maybe. More so over there, maybe, right? I think this was, the question is, why is this scene here at all, right? And I think this is actually a far more important scene because it completely breaks the flow of the story, right? Last week, the TARDIS started blowing up. Donna poured coffee in the console, started blowing up like crazy, right? And then all of a sudden, there's something else I don't like about this new era. The TARDIS comes whizzing in out the sky, whiz, and lands on the tree, sending lots of apples flying down. I really don't like how the TARDIS is much more kinetic now, right? Can it just appear and disappear, right? And so they're in the top of the tree, and the Doctor and Donna are there, and they, oh, what year is this? And he says, oh, it's 1666. I said, oh, stay away from London this year, then. Why are you telling? Like, what happened to the web of time? You doofus! This is really an incarnation of the 10th Doctor after being Jodie for a while, because this is just acting like an idiot doofus, right? So, and they go, wait a minute. This is Apple Tree, 1866. A clearly non-white man under a tree. You must be Isaac Newton. Has to be. Can be the only answer. So the conversation I was having though is used to be in Doctor Who, like in the 70s, like you would have like Terror of the Zygons. Great story, but you got to overlook the Loch Ness Monster, the Scarabus. It's shockingly awful, right? And this one, you in Doctor Who today, you got to the production managers are fantastic. You just got to overlook the shockingly awful wokeness, right? Why, like, is one any different than the other? So I would say it is, because I think they never wanted to do bad effects, right? They never wanted to look shit. And also, that's why I quite like new effects on a lot of things, right? I think it makes it. I think it works a lot better. So I don't think it's comparable. But we'll say that Russ, they did this just to annoy people. I don't think so, right? I think Rusty Davis wrote the scene and then put a note into it, said, "Oh, Andy, wouldn't this be great for colorblind casting?" Oh, yeah. And again, this entirely fails in every way. So then you hear the joke say, "Oh, you're Isaac Newton," and the doc's like, "Oh, don't say it. Oh, I'm going to say it. I'm sure you can appreciate the gravity of the situation." Look, again, does this guy in any way sell you he's Isaac Newton? No. He's a doofus hipster dressed like Chekhov from Star Trek 3 for some reason. And the TARDIS takes off and zooms off again. I'm kidding. Like this, once in a while it's okay, right? But like this is just annoying the crap out of me. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what's that word they said? Mavity, right? And then throughout the rest of the episode, whenever they say gravity, they say mavity instead, right? Reality has changed. So I think this is an important plot point that's going to explain why time is in flux in some way or other. Why the timelines are going blah, 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 rather than being absolutely pointless. However, it does absolutely disrupt the flow of the story from last week, right? So then we go straight into the titles. Titles are excellent, like all the production values. Excellent, right? I love this starting off at the TARDIS light and the See, this is fine for the TARDIS careening. I don't need to say. Okay. TARDIS just materializes. They get out and look around. All right, how about that? But again, here where it's like this stuff, I find very entertaining, right? The TARDIS like careening around. You got David Tennant, and the TARDIS goes through it, and then the angle of the TARDIS it's falling down. That works as well, right? This all works as well. Great bit of smoke effect the TARDIS coming out of. Then you get the Doctor Who logo again, perfect, like they're beautiful, right? Absolutely beautiful. Boink, and it like twists it into shape. Yeah, honestly, I still prefer the Tom Baker one, right? Oh, I won't go the wrong way. Don't twist into shape, and then after you've seen, do we get the difference? Oh no, then the Who comes out, and you find it Wild Blue Yonder, written by Rusty Davis. Right now, okay, now you're done with the Isaac Newton scene. It carries on directly from Starbeast with the TARDIS exploding, right? Tom Kingsley, I think, did a decent job on directing this. It's interesting. There was a discussion on Type 40 about what a director does. Like, is it director's vision? Is it the editor's vision? And honestly, I think the director's name is on it, right? And so I don't know the particulars if the director's involved in the edit or not. But anyway, so TARDIS spins it again. Oh god, I'm so bored with this already. Dunk. Slams into a wall. They get out and fire like pours out. Again, production values, it's off the wazoo, right? That's insane. And I think a little bit too much, frankly. I think they could have done it cheaper, and I think doing it cheaper would have enhanced it, right? I think a big problem with streaming services is their productions look too expensive. Now, Netflix has a certain look to theirs, right? They got their budget is lower than like Paramount Plus, the Star Trek Discovery, and Disney Plus for all their piece of shit shows. All right, and Doctor Who is obviously getting that big budget, but I don't know. I really don't think it's helping the show at all. Right, I really don't. Sets are very good though, right? That was a good use of money. So they go and look in the TARDIS. What's the name? The cloister bell's ringing, and it's all like screwed up. And the Doctor's like, it was brand new. Oh, it was brand new. So from this moment on, for a long time, forgetting the opening thing, which is what most people are doing, now you're in a really good spooky dooky typical episode on David Tennant, David Tennant Doctor, not even David Tennant, Catherine Tate. Good spooky dooky episode, David. There, let's compare it to the other spooky dooky episodes, right? I did it Where is it? We did a full ranking of David Tennant yesterday. Let's just look at the Spooky Dookie episodes and see where it falls out. But again, like if your wrong thing. If your sensibilities are you need it to connect to the rest of Doctor Who, this won't do it, right? This won't do it. Fine. Yeah, let's pull up these rankings. So I have no idea what the answer is. Right? Let's have a look. Share screen. Doink. What are these spooky? Okay, Fear Her, no. Star Beast, no. Christmas Invasion, certainly not. Who's the Planet of the Ood? No. Love and Monsters, no. Utopia Sound of Dawn. Planet of the Dead, nearly, but not. Armored Day, 42. No. Idiot's Lantern, to a certain extent, yes. That's the most spookiest one. We're talking like Halloween episodes. That sort of thing. Turn Left, that's more sci-fi. Unicorn Wasp, Doctor's Daughter, Tooth and Claw. Okay, I'm going to do that because they're much more supernaturally, right? Go on the Fireplace. Voyager Dam is a disaster movie. Waters of Mars. Okay, so there aren't that many spooky dooky Doctor Who's. Impossible Planet, Satan Pit. But man, the more spooky dooky you get, the higher. Like Silence Night Forest, nearly there, right? Nearly there. Stolen Earth Journey, then Blink. Is Blink a spooky dooky one? No. Even though it's scary, it's there. But Midnight is, right? School Reunion. Human Nature and Family Blood also nearly is, right? Also nearly is. But I don't know. I would say I'm going to take out Tooth and Claw and Idiot's Lantern. I think it's just confusing. And also this. I think it's too sci-fi, right? So basically you got 4 spooky dooky ones, right? Midnight, Impossible Planet, Satan Pit, Waters of Mars, Wild Blue Yonder. Yeah, it's still at the bottom, right? It's still, I mean, like, even with its like gorgeous production values, it's still. I would rather watch any of those 3 episodes, right? Really, genuinely, I would rather watch any of those 3. So finally, it's like, oh, it was brand new, and I have to tell you, I'm not really a fan of the new TARDIS either. It's too big, right? It really is. It's like ridiculously big. He says, okay, I have a sonic screwdriver and a non-sonic screwdriver. Donna's like, well, that's just called a screwdriver. So he wedges the key mechanism out with the non-sonic screwdriver and put a sonic screwdriver in to regenerate the TARDIS so it can fix itself. Regenerates into exactly the same TARDIS, of course. Yeah, they didn't make that was only for like 3 minutes, that set. It's like, oh, the light's back on, it's regenerating. They go out and they go and look. So I think this is a fail, right? I think this CGI is a fail, sadly, right? It's why is it a fail? Because I can tell it's CGI. It doesn't look real to me, right? And it looks like it spent so much money on it, and they could have done so much better so easily, right? By spending less money, right? They really could have done better by spending less money. So they go looking around, and somebody all the way down there, oh, yeah, what's going on? And let's go and look. And she's like, no, we're going to wait here until we can get back. I want to get back to my family. So, oh, come on, let's go have a look. Right. And then suddenly they hear the TARDIS dematerializing. They run back and it's gone. Right. And again, I'm really sick of the TARDIS being so kinetic, and it was okay occasionally. Right. I loved it in Runaway Bride. Okay. I liked it in Christmas Invasion when he turns up and bangs across the heads of Jackie and Mickey. Right. But like, it's enough. It should be unusual. It shouldn't be all the bloody time, which is what it's got to now. Right. And it is all the time. And it's like, I got to get back. So then they have quite a good bit of Dr. Donna spat at each other. It's like, you spilled the coffee, you did this. And then she starts freaking out and says, oh, Donna, I'll get you back. At the same time, they're being watched by an unseen entity, right? So again, if you like the spooky dooky Doctor Who with a huge production value, then you can disconnect this from other Doctor Who and look at it as fan fiction, right? So it doesn't really matter what the crap they say. You're looking at a good spooky dooky Doctor Who. Like Dan said, he loved it, right? And I think that's where he's coming from, right? He said, look, the and it's a fundamental difference of the way you view Doctor Who. And if you view it through that lens, you can enjoy it, right? And that's how I'm going to be viewing it, I think. And whenever it's like woke and stupid, it pulls you out of it. But from the normie's point of view, right? The normie's point of view, I think they looked at it and went, "Oh look, this is Doctor Who. Oh, David Tennant, spooky dooky, kind of Catherine Tate, kind of fun, right?" And it felt like Doctor Who to them. For me, again, everything is colored by your perception. So Starbase last week being so obnoxiously hateful, right? And it was. That's the only way of describing it. Obnoxiously hateful to anybody to most of the world, frankly. Put it in a negative light for a lot of people. And once it's in a negative light, it's a negative light. The best example of this is Westworld, right? Which is one of the shows I bang the drum for constantly. I adore Westworld. And I was convinced beyond convinced that season 1 was great and season 2 was woke shit. And then I went back and did a massive rewatch because season 4 was excellent. And I found out I was wrong. It wasn't woke shit. It was just the state of mind that we were in at the time of watching it, right? That made us jump to conclusion, oh, this is woke shit. It actually is very organic to everything that happened that with people point to say, oh, it's woke shit. It was really important and organic to the story, right? Because I've seen it several times now, and it's the sort of show you got to watch and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. It's got many layers of depth. It's very, very, very clever, right? So I'm trying to take myself out of it, but again, I can't connect this to Talons of Weng Chiang, where I could connect you name it, Empress of Mars, right? I really could, right? Even though I thought Tony they were very different. I could put them all in one, but this is it's its own thing, right? Once you're in the timeless child world, which we're going to be confirmed we are, you're in a different thing. So I'm just judging it on its own merits, right? So from the normie, they think they're watching good spooky do fans who want to it to make sense in continuity of all other Doctor Who, then not so much, right? Unfortunately, not so much, right? Which unfortunately is what I am. A second. Yeah, 1 second. I just said let me turn my mic off for a second. I got a voice note coming. Okay, fine. Sorry, no, that was Dan telling me. Day on, he's still buzzing from this episode. Lucy Meows here. How you doing? Time for it says they changed the TARDIS for disability ramps. Although the 70s TARDIS would have been better for disability. However, it's a hellspawn nightmare for people falling over. Yeah, look, I'm really not a fan, right? I'm really not a fan of the new TARDIS. So again, that was just Dan sending me saying, day on, he's really buzzing from this episode. He's able to detach it. It depends on the type of person. I'm not, right? So I'm looking at this as I'll tell you exactly how I'm looking like this, right? I'll tell you exactly how I'm looking like. Let's say there's been a lot of very good Doctor Who comic books, right? Comic book sagas, the Eighth Doctor's whole run, for example, right? Now, that's not canon. That's not continuity. Or New Adventures. That's not canon. That's not continuity. That's its own continuity, right? In fact, they go to point. They say it sometime in story that it's in a pocket. It's in a bubble universe or something like that. That's how I view this, right? That's how I view like my headcanon now is basically saying as Capaldi regenerated, reality shattered for some reason. And I think we're going to time because again they keep saying Mafety. instead of gravity. And I think for some reason, time is no longer, there's no more web of time. And I think they're going to come up with some kind of narrative device that allows them to keep doing that. Because, look, for a series that's 6 years old, you do need to be able to scrub the continuity decks, right? And say, I hear that. I do hear that. And again, from what I'm seeing right now, I'm not saying I got past the woke shit at the beginning. And now this is just normative Doctor Who, right? Spooky dooky Doctor Who. Right, and then there's a mysterious voice says something, and everything in the in this massive corridor whizzes around and changes. So it's a good little mystery going on. And they're trying to work out what's going on. So the Doctor then says, "Oh, wait a minute!" He presses the button on the floor, and out pops a robot, like a floaty car, right? And again, it's not convincing, and it doesn't seem like this adds at all to me for it, right? It actually detracts. It's actually what detracts more: the flying cars in the pirate planet, which were awful, or this floating car. It just seems like it just seems they're spending money for money's sake. And I understand, like, television production today has to be very, very slick, right? Very, very just, really, really. But I think they're wrong. Frankly, I think they put too much money into their productions. And it doesn't need to look that good. And the other thing is, it doesn't even look that bloody good. On top of all that, I mean, like, it's one thing if it looked like seamless, but it doesn't. Right. And again, I watched this on a big screen today in 4K. Right. That's the test. Like King Kong Skull Island, or Kong versus Godzilla, whatever it was, that looks real. Right. That looks like a. If you can't do that, then don't fucking bother. Right. It's like this doesn't really add anything to me at all. Right. So they're driving up and they finally get to the robot. I can't remember what they call the robot. Robot's a good model, by the way, right? There's a good piece of design. So they're trying to work out what's going on. And essentially the robot is a giant stop motion animation figure. I thought that was really interesting. It's like they built the whole thing with a custom built exoskeleton, right? And they put it into a position and it locks into position. So that's essentially what it was. It's a giant stop motion thing. And also it was puppeteered as well. Look, the money that they put into this is huge. It's ridiculous. And this actually, I think, was probably well spent because this convinced me. This worked, right? The ridiculous CGI tunnel didn't really, right? And I think on a narrative level, it would have worked just fine with the shitty CGI that you'll see in something like Babylon 5, frankly, right? I don't think it needed it at all. So they're trying to work out from the robot what's going on. Again, you get a very like Waters of Mars feeling, right? And Midnight. Well, that's Waters of Mars. And they're trying to talk to the robot, and suddenly the thing says a word again, and it goes forward one step. All right, okay. So then they drive down to the they drive all the way down there. Donna takes a piss out of the Doctor, saying, "Oh, stupid people say Alonzi." Like, I don't know. It's just tiresome, frankly. Right? So now we get into another set. I mean, the sets of this thing are incredible. Like the best sets we ever. I mean, like again, this really works on 4K on a big screen. Right? So they make it to the flight deck, and the Doctor works things out. Again, it feels like real Doctor Who at this point. But again, with the acknowledgement, it's not real Doctor Who. It's fanfic with a huge budget. Again, if you view this like the Doctor Who magazine had a great comic strip called Ground Zero, in which Ace died, right? And it was totally out of continuity. That's what Doctor Who is post Whittaker, right? Post Capaldi, and the Whittaker years were done without any talent or ability. This is again, if you want good spooky dooky Doctor Who, this is good spooky dooky Doctor Who. I couldn't find last week good fun Doctor Who because there was just too much work. There's too much I couldn't look away from. Right, essentially. So the Doctor finds a way of launching a drone. Again, this stuff is high level effects, right? This stuff you feel, I feel like I'm watching a movie, right? And the drone goes to see them in the flight deck, and they say, "Well, this is interesting. Where are all the stars then?" Right? If this is a spaceship, where are all the stars? And it's like, "Oh, we are on the absolute edge of reality of the universe." Right, it's just there is just darkness over there. So that's crazy. So he points to there. It'll take 20 trillion years to get the light from there. So then so then they hear a big clanging sound. Ding! So out they run, and there's nothing there. Right, there's nothing there at all. So that's probably just things settling. So they found this room, which is like a power room. And Doctor tests this stuff out, and he pretends he's dying, and then he was just, I'm joking. So, and so he goes to, so he gets Donna to take those little rectangle things and move them up to another shelf, while he goes to the other room, which is some kind of water banishment thing. That's how their sci-fi the power works. He's trying to power up the ship. The ship's in neutral, right? So as she's doing it, the Doctor walks in, and they start to talk. Good character stuff. She's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen if the TARDIS doesn't turn back. Rose, of course, she'll be fine. She'll move on. She'll grow up and have a life. Maybe she'll be a bloke. I don't know. Who knows what tomorrow holds for Rose? Well, one thing it will definitely always hold is a dick. I don't think that coming off in the near future. And he's like, but Sean, her husband, will go back every day. And it's a good thing. So he says, "Man, what about Wilf?" He says, "Oh, Wilf will just like wait there forever, right? He won't leave." And then Donna walks in and talks to the Doctor. And this is a very good piece of writing, right? This is a very good spooky piece of writing because I didn't like your brain registers that something's wrong, but you don't quite know what it is. It takes you a minute, a second or so to catch up. And Donna starts talking to the Doctor. So you know that's not the Doctor talking to Donna, right? So you get that good Jeff again. The problem is, because they had so much obnoxious stuff last week and right at the beginning of this week, right? You're not investing in the characters in the way you used to be. Again, look at this like Ground Zero, right? The comic strip Ground Zero. Let me pull up the. Hang on 1 second. Doctor Who Ground Zero. Yeah, so let me find the cover from it. Ground Zero. There you go. Yeah. So this is actually, I mean, I will say this is one of the great seminal pieces of the Doctor Who. I wouldn't say that about the Chibnall years at all. Right, and you're able to separate this from the. Wait 1 second, let me share the screen. Doing. The different thing, this riffing on this and riffing on, the Time of Child. This was actually very good, right? Time of Child was a piece of cack, but this was a completely out of continuity thing, and then it opened up the whole Eighth Doctor range. And it went like set up the Threshold, which was the villain that went through it, right? So again, that's how I view this era now, right? I view it as honestly, I view it as legitimate as this. In fact, I view this as more legitimate because it's actually higher quality. It is higher quality. Go and check out. I mean, again, I'm a big. I know I have the story in it, but I like it too. Fine. So we know we have doubles talking to the Doctor and Donna, and they like talking about. In fact, you miss home, and said, "Oh, sometimes Gallifrey don't really think about it." And then they start saying, "My arm's too long." Says, really? Well, I wouldn't worry about it. She says, no, my arm's too long. And shows her arm is like, boom. Now, I think this was a pretty darn good effect, right? Because it turned out it was a physical effect. And the doctor instantly works out there's not Donna. And then Donna, doctor's massive hands. Again, I thought this was an effect that really, really worked well. All right? I like the way they had motion in the hands. It was a bit of so they were like, oh, it's hard to understand, hard to get the arms right, and so you immediately understand you're dealing with a very, very alien race, which is I like that feels very Doctor Who, right? So Doctor and Donna join up again, and you got these two duplicates, and they don't understand. They're talking about how they don't understand having shape. Right, so it feels very confining having shape, right? They're so conceptually different, which again I find kind of. I'm actually talking myself into liking this episode, and that through this recap, it's again. You've just got to disconnect it from the body of Doctor Who, right? This is other Doctor Who, which I think they're going to give an in-universe reason. I think the reason the Doctor's clothes change, if they don't explain that, right, in the next episode, like, oh, then it's just again, it's just like as canon as John and Gillian, right? So they pull the arms up, and then his jaw goes, he lifts that up again. And you can't really tell if they're good or bad yet, but they don't seem so friendly. So they get in the car and they zoom off, right? And suddenly they seem super not friendly. They grow to be giant, and they grab them. Good kind of scary chase, I have to tell you, right? And they just make it out because they grow too big, right? They don't understand size, right? And they don't understand how they come. It's again really fascinating. It's not just they are taking Doctor and Donna's form, it's that they are taking all their memories as well, right? And so they're using that against them. So they're like, what the hell is this? And so let's try and make peace with them. And they're like, rah! So it's like, okay, let's go up here. We might be able to get out this way. And suddenly the voice makes a sound again, and everything moves around and changes. The Doctor gets thrown into this part of it, and he can't get out. And Donna falls down here. So again, great Doctor Who fare. They have them separated, which I think works well. And I think the performances were good. But you see, here, look, this is so unnecessary, an unnecessary use of money. And again, I know I'm sounding miserly, but it really annoys me, right? It really genuinely annoys me that there's this like very cool little shimmer coming through the with the green lighting. Again, they just spent a lot of money on that. So it's spooky dooky, right? They're trapped in the aliens' corridors, and the Doctor's like, don't move, Donna, I'm coming to find you. And Donna doesn't hear, and she's going up to find her. So they're both wandering around, and they both bump into each other, right? So they're like, are you the real Doctor, or are you the real Donna, right? They don't know. So they're like testing each other. And the Doctor takes off his tie and says, okay, so if you see me with a tie on, you know I'm not the Doctor. So it's and they're trying to work out who is the real version. And then in another location, the Doctor has met another Donna, right? And so this is the fake Donna, and that's the fake Doctor, I think. But they're trying to work out who they are, right? And they said, well, you've got all our memories now, right? The more memories you have, the more memories you have, the more real it is. So eventually she keeps convincing him she's Donna. And then, she turns into a big pool of slime. Said, "Oh, I couldn't keep it up. You people are over." And then you start to find out, no, these are generally monsters. These are bad people. They're like, we've looked at you. We're gonna destroy you. Bad people. Great effect. So now this is the fake Doctor. It's confusing. Talking to the real Donna, right? And so they're trying to work out. So she says, "Well, where's your tie?" He says, "I took it off." He said, "Yeah, and you threw it on the floor down there, and it's not there anymore." And he's like, "Oh, when you take something off, it still exists." I didn't understand, and I do. I like that non-corporeal idea, right? Which I thought worked very well. Oh, wait a minute, did I miss out the timeless child stuff? Yeah. Yeah, this is the whole scene where she says, "You're not where you from?" He says, "You're not from Gallifrey. You don't know where you're from." Right? And they talk about Flux. It's like, yes, I destroyed half the universe, and it's all my fault. It's like, it wasn't your fault. Kind of was your fault, right? Flux was completely your fault, Doctor. Okay. The Jodie Doctor was an awful, awful, awful Doctor, right? Please don't think anything else. Then the Jodie Doctor was an awful, awful, awful Doctor that did terrible things constantly. Where are we up to? Fine. I just lost my place. So yeah, so this directly connects all that together, right? So listen, the stupidity of Rusty Davis is really breathtaking because I've also got the other stupid. Oh, this is way back, right at the beginning. See, like you edit it when you edit it out, you forget it. Yeah, 1 second. Let's go. We're at 2:05. We'll go back there. So there must have been like here it was, yeah. Go the wrong way. So right over here where they're walking, they talk about Isaac Newton said, "Oh, Isaac Newton's hot." And he said, "Yes, Isaac Newton's hot." And he realizes he's gay now. Like he fancies Isaac Newton. Like, for fuck's sake, will you stop? Just will you stop with this bullshit? Why? Right? And again, watching Doctor Who is an exercise in ignoring woke idiocy, right? It's not good. For me, it's not worth the effort. Certainly, last week wasn't. This week was a good Spooky Dookie episode. I'm not really that into Spooky Dookie David Tennant episodes, that anyway. But if I was, I'd prefer a superior one like Water of What, Miles of Midnight, or Satan Pit, and Impossible Planet, right? I would go for any of those before this. I'm never rewatching this, right? I'm so glad I didn't get the Blu-ray. At the same time, I understand people who are able to separate it and go, "Oh, okay, this is the same thing." Right, and they do enjoy it. I also understand Norm is going, "Oh, this just looks like Doctor Who," right? And so the interesting thing is, the Timeless Child and Flux was shit, like really bad ideas, badly done. But David Tennant is able to imbue them with some level of authenticity, quite incredibly, right? Even though it's shit, does it still remain shit? Yes. Right? Is it awful? Is it not Doctor Who? Yes, all that's true. Right? Does he infuse it with authenticity? Yes. Right? That's why they wanted Tennant back. I have to tell you, I think those ratings are going to fall off a cliff when Tennant leaves. Right? I think they're here for Tennant. If it's Shooty isn't good, right? And I think there's too much wokeness to make it accessible for normies. Right, you have to work hard to get past that woke, right? Especially right at the beginning. And if he plays it as a gay doctor, forget it. No one's interested, right? And really, we're going to see that. I think by the time we hit middle of Shooter's first season, he'll be on Jodie ratings. He'll be on like 3 million overnight. Right? I really do think that. If it's good, it'll be good. I'll tell you it's good, right? Fine. So we're back here. Yeah, so he took the tie off, right? And he's like, "Oh, I forgot when Take still exists." I like that a lot, right? Fine. So then you go, "Oh, yeah." So one of the worst effects in the whole thing. He folds inside out and shoves his head through his legs. And I thought it's so stupid. How did he stand listening to you? She was talking about being born in Southampton, like a reasonably irritating Donna story, right? And so he does this like weird exorcist-like walk out chasing her. The Doctor's like angsty because he had to deal with the Flux and destroying half the universe and Timeless Child. We all feel the same way, mate. We all feel the same way. So they all four make it to the same place, right? And I can't remember how they work out who's who. But they do. They somehow they was right. Yeah, there was again good piece of writing, right? Good piece of writing. Wading through the woke shit. Right. I found a good piece of writing. The yeah, I have to say, and the Jodie Whittaker stuff was so obnoxious and so hated. Why can you just ignored it? That you would have done yourself so many favors. Like, why are you putting so many obstacles up for people being to watch this? Like, I am sorry, Jodie Whittaker was shit. I'm sorry, Chris Chibnall was shit. They were shit. The ideas were shit. The execution was shit. It was all shit. Hopefully there'll be some in-universe explanation. But like the way they work out who's real and who's not is they do. Donna says she thinks she's stupid. I said, but I do think I'm stupid, but we also think you're brilliant as well. You know, human beings will be able to do two things at once. And so they work out who's real. And then the doctor does the thing, says, aha, salt. Right, he pours a line of salt out and says, you can't walk past the line of salt without counting it. And he's like, that's just superstition. He said, really? You give it a try, then come across. And she's like, well, she doesn't believe him. Okay, then you just cross the salt, right? And so then she gets on these and starts counting all the salt. And so he's asking, like, what is it you want? He said, basically, we saw you from an outside the universe. Saw your universe so loud and bubbly. We wanted to go there and play. Essentially, but they're bad. Okay, they work out they can the salt's just a ruse, and then the ship starts to change again, and boom, they get moved into another place. But they chase to the flight deck where they manage to cut them off with this glass wall. Quite convenient from a drama perspective, right? So again, it's quite a decent character piece, and they work out, right? At this point, they work out that the more why they terrorize them, why they trying to make them scared, because the more scared they are, the faster they think. The faster they think, the faster they can assimilate them, right, and copy them completely, right? So then they realize they got to go very slow and not think about anything, right? Which is very hard for the Doctor. And so they're like, think. And he said, how can you not think on a ship with all these mysteries? Like, what is the name? Why does everything keep changing? Where are we? What happened to everybody? Like, how can you not think? It's like, I got to think. And then he realizes that that the voice actually must be numbers counting down. He translates the base 10, and he realizes that that's what it is. They pull open the roof and they find out what's clanging, and it's again more wokeness slapping you in the face. It's like this is a big finish thing. This is the captain, obviously a she. Like, I'm so like, can we have an authority figure that isn't a woman? It's ridiculous. So far, the only white males, positive white males in Doctor Who in this new era have been David Tennant and not yet, but Bernard Cribbins. Right, literally, it's again, not about it, but like needlessly smacked in the face. Look, Russell, it's not your job to educate people into being moral. However, if that was your job, you suck at it. Honestly, I think you cause more pushback to the trans world than you do acceptance. Right? You bring it because, like, and just calling everybody bigots that don't see the world like you. I'm sorry. Shut up. So that's what the thing's been clanging. It's the captain is caught in the gravity of the ship, right? And they're trying to work out what happened, and they basically work out it's a weird plan, but the captain killed themselves so they couldn't copy her, and set in motion this very slow motion plan so they wouldn't be able to work out what it is or what's happening, have anything to club onto. It's taken 3 years, and it's a countdown, and the countdown is to turning the ship into a bomb to destroy these two entities that will probably destroy everything, right? So then they and this robot is a old robot. That's the trigger for it. He's walking slowly to the detonation switch, right? And so they basically get this big info dump, and then there's like some frantic using controls to stop them getting out to stop the robot, right? It goes on for quite some time, but they get out and we get a good chase sequence. That Donna falls down. We have a bit of a Donna on Donna fight, and the robot's at the countdown's nearly there. He sped up the countdown so it gets to the end quicker, right? And chasing the doctor, and he turns into super wolf doctor, and he starts bounding down. And he says, "Wait a minute." The TARDIS left because the HADs were switched on, the hostile action displacement system. Should have said that at the beginning, right? Now, since the TARDIS has been rebooting or regenerating, it's not really regenerating because it looks exactly the same. They must have turned on the HADs again, which is nice to hear about them. So they turned on the HADs, and that's why it left. But if the hostile action stops, then the TARDIS can come back. And he says, "Wait a minute, it's a time machine. The TARDIS is going to know if this entity can make it to the robot that's trying to stop the self-destruct before. And if it does, the TARDIS will show up right now, right? And then that's exactly what happens. And again, I'm really sick of this, bouncing around. So in he gets, and then there's two Donners. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Firstly, the TARDIS is raised an inch on the ground and pedals it down the road. Whatever. The two Donners, and he tries to work out which one. He picks this one, right? And it takes off, and she's like, "No, I'm the real Donna." And you realize that is the real Donna. And I thought, are they going to have a bit of balls in this episode and actually kill her off? That means something actually happened, right? And this one's looking all smug. She's like, this is not good. And then the robot presses the button, and she's like, "Yay!" And the ship starts to explode, right? Blowing up the fake David Tennant, and Donna's there watching the explosion coming towards her, right? And she knows she's going to die. And then at the same time, David Tennant is making sure it's a real Donna, and he says, "Your arm's too long. It's 0.8 of a centimeter too long." So you get this again flying, bouncing around TARDIS. Takes the TARDIS and uses the lever to move that ladder up and flush her out the TARDIS. Again, this TARDIS is just kind of irritating me. In gets the real Donna, and they make it as the evil Donna blows up in a wonderful effect shot. And again, the flyaway of the TARDIS here, that's good. If you hadn't been doing it every freaking moment, it would have been much more effective. And blows up, and the captain blows up. Oh, she was wonderful. Oh, so much of this. So fine, they survive, and then when she was talking, when the Donna and the fake Donna and the real Doctor were talking, and she was talking about the timeless child and saying, "You don't know where you're from." So how do you know that? It says, "Well, the Doctor, when I was the Dr. Donna, I was able to see everything that happened to you in the time that you left." So he wasn't sure if that's true or if it was the alien reading his mind. Could be either way. So he asked her, "Do you remember anything?" He says, "Well, it's just a blur of fire. I really don't recall." She may be lying, right? She may not. It says, "What happened?" It says, "A lot." So anyway, they arrive back, outcome, and there's Bernard Cribbins. Sadly, this is probably, I think this is his last appearance in it. And he's like, "Yeah, the TARDIS is here." It's always lovely to see Bernard Cribbins. Bernard Cribbins is very happy to see the Doctor. And he said, "Oh, you got to help. Some terrible things are happening. Things are going crazy. Everyone's beating each other up, and there's fires everywhere." Right. This plane crashes overhead. And that's the cliffhanger essentially for next week. And it's a tribute to Bernard Cribbins at the end. So again, the review remains the same from last night. A good spooky dooky episode of Doctor Who, completely marred by relentless, too liberal sprinkling of wokeness. And that's for, I would say, does the normies feel that way? I think you've got about 30% of the normies probably felt that way, right? There's too much wokeness in it. And again, if you didn't have David Tennant, forget it. There's no way, right? There's no way this sort of thing would have done well. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.